What's up, everybody? It's Chris from ProPhoto, and this is Geared Up. This is our weekly live broadcast where we talk about gear, we talk about lighting, techniques, how to do things, just have fun, play with some light. Hopefully you learn some things. Hopefully I learned some things. And again, we just have a good time. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chats. We will be answering as we roll. And with that being said, let's jump into what we're talking about today. Today, it's all about the soft zoom reflector, the new modifier that we just came out with in the last, I guess, few weeks, right? So the new soft zoom reflector, but we're going to be comparing the light quality with a protruded front flash head and a flat tube or flat front flash head. And so let me first show you what I'm talking about. So if you're relatively new to ProPhoto, or you've kind of only been here since maybe the D1 times or the B1 times, what brought you around, we have two forms of flash head. So we have the thing that a lot of people have come to know, which is I'm going to make sure I'm locking that bad boy down because that felt loose. We have so this is the B10X Plus, which has our front flathead that we started doing with the D1. We went into the flat front just because for travel purposes and stuff like that, this is just safer for you to smack the side of your flash head and not a protruded dome and lose all this stuff. But so it has a flat front, so the light spill isn't 180 degrees perfectly. The light does come out at 180 degrees, but it's not the same exposure as the light that's at the front of it. So it does have a beam angle. The beam angle is calculated by how wide the beam angle is until you start to lose a stop of light, right? So with this, I believe I'm getting this right. I believe it's either 68 or like 71 degrees or something like that. Then for maybe some of you who are newer to the ProPhoto world, this is what we call a protruded head. So by protruded, the flash tube, the dome, everything is protruded from the front of the light. It's going to throw light forward in the same exposure as it's going to throw it sideways. So that's because the flash tube is actually located right here, just so you can, for reference, because this is pretty easy to do, as I make terrible sounds with the spring clip.
Very nervous.
So there you go. So you can actually see this front tube right here, that is actually the modeling light. But this tube right here around the edge, the circular tube, that is the flash tube. And so it's right here. As I put the dome back on, it's still right there inside the dome. So let's put these springs back on so I don't break a flash tube. But like I was talking about, in the world of traveling with your lights, yes, we have transport caps. You should always use them. But maybe you're on a shoot and you're moving something around and you bop this thing and you lose the tube. You lose the dome shatters. That's the thought process to go in the flat front. So, but in certain modifiers, this is superior. And I'm not going to pretend like it's not. It very much is superior, especially some of our traditional light shaping tools, such as like the older Magnum reflectors, the wide zooms, the tele zooms, things like that. But the soft zoom was designed to work with both of them. But what we're going to do today is we're going to compare both of them and show you what the light qualities are like between the flat front and the protruded front. So this one I'm going to roll out of the way because we actually already have a pro head inside of this soft zoom right here. Today we are using the soft zoom 120 for some reason that I don't know. I keep calling it a 140. I don't know why I can't get that number out of my head. I almost did it again. That's why I had to look at it. But we're using the 120. Why are we using the 120? Because the 180 is massive. It doesn't do a very good job of fitting it. Yeah, we don't have the ceiling height for the 180. Plus, I think when we were doing most of our talking on the intro video, we were using the 180. I don't think I can't remember. I don't think I cracked open the 120 to talk about, but in that case today we're going 120. And we're not going to be throwing any diffusion panels on it. We're not going to be using any grids. We're not going to do anything crazy. It's just the light. We're gonna zoom it all the way out like it is right now. So this is a zoom position of 7 sticking out of the 120, and then we're going to zoom it all the way into a position of 1.
Rotate it towards the camera so they can see
we can rotate it.
Locked and loaded.
I mean, the stand's locked, but I can rotate it. I just don't know how much they're going to be able to see.
It doesn't really help.
It's pretty
I was
high.
trying to see if they could see the lines,
Oh, the lines on the zoom. Yeah, the lines on the zoom rod are on this side, so they wouldn't be able to see it.
Okay.
So I
I
just wonder if I need to go super wide.
Wheaton was asking, which light is the protruding one?
Okay, so this is a pro head. So the protruding heads, you can still get the older ones. So this is the Pro Head Plus. So anything for our Pro packs, I'm using a Pro 11 with this. If you have an acute 2 or an older D4 pack that uses an acute D4 head, those are also protruded. In the monoblock world, the last protruded head we had there was the compact 300, 600, and 1200. Those are still out there in the wild. The tough thing about getting something like that, if you were, unless you just got like a smoking deal and you're cool with it, biting the dust eventually, there's not really parts for to fix it. So I know a lot of people will buy up a whole bunch of them and then they'll kind of steal parts from one to fix the other one. Cool. So, but we're only gonna take 4 photos. We're gonna do a photo all the way out in its softest mode. So when the zoom rod is pushed all the way out like this, so this is zoom position number 7, this is the softest that the light source is gonna be. And that's because when it's pushed all the way out, the light has the ability to use all of the reflector. So you're using all 120, I guess, centimeters of the size of this, which is about, it's 4 foot. You're using all 4 feet of this modifier. I almost called it a softbox, but it's not that. You're using all 4 feet of the reflector, and that's going to give you a beautiful soft light. Then we're going to zoom it into a position of 1 where we start using a lot less of it. We're using mostly just the center point. Honestly, I want to compare something really fast just so I can show you visually how much space we're using. So when you're all the way in, so when you're zoomed all the way in, you're probably only using a space about this big, maybe even a little bit smaller than that. This is the standard Magnum reflector. So yeah, so that's how much space you actually utilize of the soft zoom whenever zoomed all the way in. So kind of cool stuff. Sweet. So with that being said, let's snap some photos.
Yeah.
Because now we're comparing.
And I see some questions popping up, but
you want to ask them while
okay. Yeah. Jim in Texas.
Hey, Jim in Texas.
Yeah. I'd love to see you compare a flat front light with an optical glass dome, as well as just a flat front light and a dome light, because the flash tube is forward within the glass dome.
That is, So Jim's saying he would like me to compare. So for our D1s, our D2s, and our B1s, we have an attachment. I think I actually have it. Is this a flash tube or is that's a flash tube? Hang on a second. The nice thing about having stuff is you have stuff. The bad thing about having stuff is there's a lot of stuff around it. Okay, so for like the D1s, the D2s, and the B1s and the B1Xs, there's this little modifier you can add to it. So this one's fresh. I broke my last one, so I had to get a fresh one. Again,
I think I broke it.
No, actually drops. So my D2 was over there on one of the things on one of the mounts, and she did it. Good to know. Wasn't me. So you have this. So it's this little Pyrex attachment that goes to the front of your D1. So you'll take off the clear glass, or you'll take off the frosted flat glass, and then you'll put this in place of that. And what it does is because this is opaque, it's not crystal clear. It actually lights up this whole dome, and it throws light out 180 degrees more. It's still not quite the same as a protruded flash tube, but it still does a better job. So if you're a D1 or D2 or B1 or B1X user, and you really like to use the traditional beauty dish, the metal one, this one right here.
He's coming back right there.
Yeah. So this one right here, use a dome. It actually does make a difference between the two. So good to know. Now, before Kate or I break this thing, I'm going to put the paper back in it and put it away. Yeah. Perfect. So yes, I hear you on that. Jim, sorry, long story short, downside is right now I don't have a D2 or a B1X. I refreshed my gear recently, and I sent back a lot of my stuff, and I didn't get one. I didn't get a D2 and I didn't get a B1X. We'll do that one again some other time as soon as I get a D2.
We have more questions, but do you want to?
Yeah, let's do the first one, and then as we as I change the zoom positions, Kate will pop over here now. Yep. Cool. So we're zoomed all the way. Actually, we're kind of set for this, but I'm just going to make sure that we're good. Let's get in a place where that's pointed right at you.
Right here on the X.
Perfect. So let's go meter, bop, F8. Let's come back a couple positions. Perfect. This is for you, John. Yeah, now we're in the business. All right, cool. So we're metered up, F8, camera settings. I know you can't see on the screen because we have it truncated. We're at 1/25th of a second, F8, ISO 100. We're gonna be shooting 3/4 length shots here. And so this is zoomed all the way out, zoom position of 7, 3, 2, 1. Oh, and I didn't put the trigger back on top of my camera. Yeah, I didn't put the trigger back on top of my camera because I'm a genius. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Perfect exposure. So that's going to pop up. Beautiful soft light. Very, very nice. So do you want to go check on some questions real quick? And I will zoom this thing back in.
Let's see here. William Morton says, hello from afar, North Idaho.
Hey, William.
Won't the head out like that also illuminate the full room as?
It shouldn't. I guess if it can. So someone was asking with the protruded head, with it zoomed out the way that it was when it kind of comes past the front of the reflector, would it illuminate the room?
As a lot of it will go sideways and miss the umbrella.
So it won't miss it. It's because I wish there was a good way for me to show you how it utilizes the inside of the umbrella, but with my camera setup right now, it's not. Maybe once we take the photos, I'll pull it out and you can see how it's using it. But in theory, yes. So with the protruded head, it could be bouncing around the room and causing more reflections from the let me grab my meter. From the room and bouncing off the white walls. You can always, the nice thing about the zoom rod is you can adjust it however it works best for you. But yes, in theory, it could absolutely do that.
And then Facebook user, I'm sorry, you could pop your name in if you want to.
Our system's not showing it, yeah.
The attachment dome is better than the flat plate, not as efficient and effective as Pro head.
Yeah, so the dome does a good job of what it's supposed to do. But like they're saying, it's not quite as efficient as the protruded head. And that's why we're using, that's one of the two reasons why we're using the protruded head and not the dome. But this is a truer comparison of the protruded head versus the flat front.
And then Robert's asking, he says, beautiful light. I'm trying to estimate the size of this setup. About how high are your ceilings?
So we have about 10 or 12 foot ceilings in here. 12 foot.
Mm-hmm. There's 12.
I think we measured this at 12 foot. So yeah, this is probably somewhere between 10 and 12 foot. I'm going to say that. Light, so distance from everything wise, we're probably, the reflector's probably 10 feet from the background. Kate's probably 6 feet from the reflector, maybe 7 feet from the reflector. The reflector is up almost to the ceiling. So it's pretty much touching. Hopefully. And then my distance from Kate is probably also, I'm right next to the reflector. So probably like 7 feet, 8 feet. So cool. Hopefully that gave you some info. So now we have
more questions, but do you want to shoot?
Grab me one more question while I'm metering.
Let's see. So Marcus King, does Profoto have any upcoming dome front accessories for the B1 series strobe versus the removable flat front one for the D1 strobe?
Read that one more time.
Does Profoto have any upcoming dome front accessories for the B1 series strobes versus the removable flat front ones for the D1 strobes?
B1s and D1s are removable front. I don't know if you meant to say, so the dome for the B1 and the D1 are the exact same. The front's actually the exact same. Someone was asking if we have,
it wrote it again.
It might have been a typo.
There's a typo in there.
It was probably
upcoming dome front accessories for the B10.
That's what I thought he was asking.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's B10.
So the tough thing about putting a dome front on the B10, one, it would require it to mount over because it can't go in. the front of the B10's not removable. So it's not removable by you. It's removable by us with a specialty tool. And that's how we get in there and we fix the flash tube. So I don't know. I can't say yes or no whether or not that's something on the horizon. But I don't think it makes a ton of sense unless the modifier allows you to push past the front to where you could clip a dome over the front of it. I don't know. It would have to be something. I'll talk to the engineers about it and see if it's something that we can do.
I'm gonna say this guy's RAIMO, Ramo.
Ramo sounds like.
Yeah, Ramo. Sometimes I use the Pro One 1200 watt from the 60s, which still works.
Yeah, the Pro ones are beasts. Yeah, we found me and my friend Dan found a Pro 2 at Sammy's in Santa Barbara.
No, I said it wrong. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. At Sammy's in Santa Barbara before they closed, we found a Pro 2, and we were like, well, let's see what happens. And he plugged it in for 3 days. It charged, and it worked fine. It was,
That's
and the thing's
crazy.
super old.
I love it.
All right, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Story time with friends. Cool. Cool.
Alrighty.
So the efficiency difference is pretty crazy. Like zoomed all the way out, it requires it's 2.5 stops more efficient zoomed all the way in into a hard light mode.
I'm really enjoying your home screen.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful. That was a great.
Could be worse.
Yeah, it could be
The
worse.
sun shines.
Here we go.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1. And I didn't put the trigger back on. I'm crushing it today. Here we go.
That baby back up there.
3, 2, 1.
And,
There it is.
And then screen.
Oh no, the screen didn't go dark. That was
Okay.
that was literally the unexposed picture.
That's right.
Perfect. So those are 2 images with the flat front and the exposed. So now let's change it out. Let's put in, or I'm sorry, with the protruded head. Now what we're going to do is we're going to undo this protruded head. And we can take questions while I'm doing construction.
Yes, I am looking, searching. Hello from France.
What's up, France? Love your fries. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, I'm such a dork.
You are a dork. Let's see. Anything else? Please pop them up here. I will answer whatever I can find here.
Cool. Just want to make sure.
We have all forgotten the trigger before or forgotten to turn it on.
Yeah, or
Truth.
left the lens cap on.
Oh. It happens.
I don't care how long you do this stuff. It's always like
you're kind of juggling so many things, right?
it's just the silly stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm a pro. I promise. I've been doing this forever. All right, cool. So with the B10s, what I like to do, you can't do this with like the D, and it's fine. Like it can handle the weight, but for the B10s, I like to take the adapter off. For one, it's just weight savings. You might as well, and then there's no real use for it, so might as well save the weight. So. And depending on, now one thing that's kind of cool with the B10 over the Pro head is the B10 still allows you to zoom the head closer to the center point than the Pro head does, because that protruded head that dome actually is kind of in the way. It stops on the cage, and I'll show you this here in a couple of minutes. I'll just pull the whole cage out and show you what I'm talking about. But because this can zoom, the potential light that you can get from the B10 or a flat front series light is you can get a harder light zoomed all the way in. So
let's see. Sean says, "Hey guys, love your work. Thank you. I wanted to ask a question. If I wanted to focus more on editorial photos, beauty and makeup, what attachments would be good investments so that the light can give good detail on the skin as well as the contour of the makeup?"
I mean, I think any light could really. So
this is more soft.
Oh, this is both. So the last shot we took is a hard light. I mean, the cool thing about going with something like if you wanted to go with like a soft zoom, the cool thing about this is you can get a lot of looks out of one modifier. This is a really good. The 140 would be really good for that. And then like I said, with a flat front light, which we're about to show, you could zoom it in tighter and get a harder light than I think you could with a protruded head. But we're going to play with all that stuff right now. But this would be really good, and you could do a lot of stuff with it. You could throw a diffusion panel on it if you want to. And then if you need an even harder light source, you can just take your B10 out, point it straight at the product or the person that you're shooting, and get a really quality light source. I mean, this actually be a really good modifier for it.
Yeah,
Yep. Beep bop bop. Umbrellas are also really good. My buddy Zach, who's a killer, Zach Sutton, if you didn't follow him already, great beauty photographer, does killer product stuff. He does a lot of stuff with reflectors like this and also umbrellas.
Also, can you show us how you have the B10 mounted
inside
the soft zoom?
I will. So someone wants to see how the B10 is mounted inside the soft zoom. I will show you that, but just so you know, I placed its flash tube roughly in the same place that the Pro Head's flash tube is. And again, once we take the photos and I don't have to be locked off in position anymore, we will, I'll pull this thing out, drop it down, and point it at the camera so you can see everything I was talking about. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this. Oh, I gotta change channels here. Cool. Nice. Make sure the Pro Head's off, Pro Pack's off. Let's turn this on here.
Using a light meter.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Looks like it's pointed at you. It doesn't look like it's pointed at you, does it? Did I move it a little bit? You're on.
No, I'm in the same spot. Oh, it's good, right there.
Okay. Perfect. So let's get a meter reading. This isn't going to be. Oh yeah, we need a lot more juice. Let's go to power level 6. Almost power level 7. Perfect. Here we go. So this is in the hard light position, just like the last photo from the Pro Pack. So here we go. Ready?
All right, let's do it.
Oh yeah, trigger onto the camera.
Ha!
They're still in my hand. We're learning. We're progressing. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. So now let's zoom this bad boy all the way out. I have a feeling we're going to be powered all the way up for this. So,
Be careful on that apple.
and you should be able to see the B10 come out of the.
Yeah, they can see it.
And we're going to go to the same zoom position of 7.
Almost touch it.
I also want to make sure that we're not going to tip. It is heavier forwards and my counterweight's not really doing as much. I'm going to cover my rear. Yep.
Sag a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's heavy. It's definitely heavy. So you have to expect that. So let's go here. Throw that sandbag on there, and that should be better. All right, cool. So now let's get metered up and see how we're doing. Let's go ahead and just power this thing up to 10. I have a feeling that's where I'm going to need to be. Oh, nope, I was wrong. Only 9. No, not even 9, 8. I'm way off today. Perfect. I didn't actually,
Where you started, okay.
yeah, the power difference between the two. Actually, with the flat front, it's kind of nice. It's only about a stop and a half difference. That's interesting. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Cool. So now we have those photos. Let's talk about them real fast for the people who just want to kind of see what the comparison is and get out of here. And then I'll pull the soft zoom around here and I will show you what I was talking about with the other stuff. So let's do hard light versus hard light. So these are both zoomed in at position 1 on the soft zoom reflector. So let's go here to the chin shadow and zoom in a little bit. Sorry, Kate, we're going to your chin shadow. So on the left here is the protruded head. On the right here is the flat front. One of the things that I'm seeing right off the jump with the flat front, there's a hint of a double shadow. So you can see there's a line of demarcation right there. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but we're looking pretty tough at it. And then there's another line of demarcation there. So there's a double shadow right here. The upside is it's relatively smooth, but I'm looking for it, and I see it. That's with the flat front. With the exposed protruded head, I don't see that anomaly. And that's something that sometimes can happen with the flat fronts, but it's not a deal breaker, I don't think. I mean, if you zoom all the way out, it's not that big of a deal. Let's see up underneath. Sorry, Kate, we're going under the nose. The nose is, I mean, I think there's a double shadow there, but it's not as prominent. It kind of just looks like a shadow and then a little bit of feathering. Not bad. On the background, see some scratches on that watch. Yeah, I mean, the shadow's pretty smooth on the background. So the flat, I mean, I would say in comparison, see if we can see catch lights in the eyes to see if it looks like anything. No, it looks like a solid light source. See if it looks like 2 light sources here. So here I can see how it kind of could look like 2 light sources. So let's go into that. Although they're pretty similar, but this one just looks a little bit brighter towards the center than this one does. I think that's kind of the thing that makes that double shadow a thing. So if you kind of see here, the outside of the reflector is illuminated, but it's so bright here in the middle. Whereas if you kind of, let's go over here to this side because you might be able to see it better in this side. So if you look right here, the outside of the reflector is illuminated, but that hot spot gradually fades into it. Whereas here on the flat front, it's a harder, more defined line difference between the two. And that's where you're getting the double shadow from. You can learn a lot by taking a photo of the modifier. Like you can point your camera into the modifier and take a photo of the light coming out. You can learn a lot about what that light's going to do. This is the same idea. We're just doing it with a catch light. So that's where that double shadow is coming from. So that's kind of where that protruded dome is superior, is it's giving you a little more feathering towards the edge, but it's also on a Pro Pack. You know, unless you have an acute pack or a Pro Pack or you have the funds to get that, I wouldn't worry about it unless it's a job in which you could rent your Pro Pack and then, you know, put that into your invoicing and make that part of the job. I don't think the difference is great enough to warrant that. So unless it's just something that you already have or that's how you like to shoot, you roll with Pro Packs. I would just, if it's something that you're worried about for a job, rent it for the job, and then you can keep cruising with the with your flat front light. So now let's do the comparison of the soft setup. So here we go with the protruded and the flat front. So here, let's see what we see. So this is, I think, was it Jim who was saying something about this a little bit earlier, but where the protruded head is coming out of the front, it might not have been Jim, but this is just the last name I remember, where the protruded head was coming out of the front of the reflector. You can see that here. So look at the scene here, look at the background versus this background. Look how much lighter this is. I mean, the exposure on Kate's the exact same, but because there's more light bouncing around the room because that protruded head's throwing light.
Yeah, it was Jim.
It was Jim? Nice.
Good job.
Yeah. It's me and you, Jim. We're together. So because that dome is outside of the modifier, it's throwing light all the way around the room. We're getting extra reflections, extra fill from the light source. It's kind of cool to think about the fact that you could have the protruded head is going to allow you to both get a fill light from, I guess, depending on the size of the room that you're using, and then a main light from the actual source. That being said, the flat front light is going to give you some more control, right? Because the light's mostly utilizing the reflector and not throwing light into the room. And you can see that again here by looking at the background. Let's go up underneath the chin. Let's do the same shadow comparison. It's so soft that the I mean, it's insanely soft. Here, there's a little more directionality. Because there's not the light bouncing around the room, so there's not that extra fill from it hitting the white walls. We're getting more contrast here, so this image is definitely more contrasty with the flat front than the protruded head. But all in all, nose shadow. Let's see what we're working with. Very, very minimal on the nose shadow. Here, it's going to be even more minimal. And again, that's just because there's way less contrast in the protruded head, again, because it's utilizing the room.
We have a bunch of questions.
Yep.
Want me to pop me out?
We can do questions because I'm going to move this. Okay. I'll move this thing around.
Okay, sweet. So let's see. So Jerry from Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, Fort Lauderdale. Love that place.
I know we do. Does the B10X Plus benefit from protruding dome to magnify the output? What is the optimum reflector to magnify the output? New or old magnums?
Yeah. So the B10, if there were an attachment to make the, sorry, my light stand's locked in place. I'm trying to grunt and unlock this thing. So the B10.
Sorry, we are looking at points.
No, you're. Sorry. Oh yeah, it's me just moving a modifier. So the B10, if you were to put a dome on it, you'd have to put a dome over the frosted glass, which means you're actually going to lose efficiency. So because you're going to be putting frosted on frosted, which sounds like a delicious milkshake or cereal. But I'm hungry. If you didn't know. So yeah, so you're doubling up opaque pieces of glass, so it's going to eat up some light. The best thing, if you're talking about for efficiency of getting the most light out of your B10 or B10X or even D2 or a D1 or a B1, is going to be the OCF Magnum. So its facets, there's one around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Again, I can't keep up with it. But that's going to give you the most light output. It's going to give you up to 2 stops more. So it'll take your 500 watts B10X Plus and make it closer to 2,000 watt seconds effectively. So you just have to make sure you have it zoomed out all the way to where the front of the light is even with the front of the reflector, and you'll get a ton of output. Okay, cool.
David B. Show says, I'm from Sweden.
What's up, B. Show?
He said, let's see some Chris in front of the lens.
Oh, I should. Yeah, she would much appreciate taking the photos of me. You would much not appreciate taking the photos of me, especially now having a medium format camera that resolves the way it does. You don't want to see these details.
Lots of D.
You don't want to see these details. All right, cool. So let me show you what I was talking about with the cage. I'm gonna go to this side shot so I can get close to him.
We have quite a few questions popping up. If I've missed you, if you could pop it back down.
So come over here to this camera, okay, next to you.
Yep.
That camera right there.
Sorry.
So what I was talking about, and because I have the protruded head here, what I was talking about with the B10, because you have the, let me not do that. You have the ability of pushing the light in. I guess this is about as far. Okay, once you hit the plate portion of this, I have never tried this before, so we're learning this together. So once you hit the place where you actually can mount your spigot back onto the bottom of this, your light stand adapter, the cage won't go past that. So essentially on the plus a zoom position of 6, but unlike the protruded head, you can zoom this out. You could technically, I would probably push it in just for safety's sake, but the rubber clamp is pretty strong. No sagging. So you have some zoom positioning in here to where you could use more or less of the reflector. So you could actually zoom inside the soft zoom, which is kind of neat to think about. Whereas when you have the protruded head, you'll still be able to zoom some, but you won't be able to push in as far because that dome blocks it.
You showed everybody the catch light between the two, correct?
I showed everyone the catch light between the two with the hard light. I can show you the catch light with the soft.
In the eyes of Kate in both kinds of flashes.
Yeah, gotcha.
They have that two times.
I still have both those images pulled up. We'll pull them back up here in just a second. So, but what I was talking about with the cage, this is just the basic mount of it. All you have to work with is that, and generally you don't want to be smacking that piece of metal against the glass because you don't want to break it. So this is kind of where it lives. And I tried to put the B10 right here whenever we were shooting to kind of utilize as much of the same stuff as possible. So, but that's what I was talking about. The cool thing about the B10 is that you have the ability that you can utilize more or less. And the ring does a good job of gripping it, so you don't have to worry about that falling out.
Will there be a generic mono light adapter for the soft zoom reflectors?
I don't know. I've had a couple of people ask.
From Brandon.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people ask, are we going to make a generic cage? Now, I will say this. I believe that's a standard light stand mount. So if another manufacturer has a cage like this with a standard light stand, actually, a Bowen's mount or something like that. Yeah, it's a standard light stand adapter mount. So if some other company has a cage and they use that same adapter, it should work. No problem. So hopefully that answers your question.
There's so many friends from Florida.
Ooh, Florida in the house.
People from Florida. Greetings from Sunny Isle Beach.
Hey.
Does Profoto have any plans to create a clear dome for the B10 or B10 Plus flat front strobes?
So a clear dome doesn't really make sense on a flat front light because you're not really. I mean, I guess it would make sense in the form of you don't want to take away any light from the opacity, but you're not getting. You'd be better served with a flat front clear, just because the dome isn't going to do anything. You're not going to illuminate any more light outwards. I thought we had a clear one, but maybe I'm off. I know that we have different color temperature variations, so if you wanted to warm up your light, but I'll have to look. I thought we had a clear one, but maybe we don't. All right, cool. So let's do this catch light thing. Now that I showed people the cage.
Hey, were the shots at all underexposed or?
They were properly exposed. I did everything with a light meter. Yeah, I did everything with a light meter. For you, John, and everything read f8. I never changed any camera settings, so. I think one of the things that you're gonna, and it was funny because Kate actually said this when we were doing all the testing earlier. She goes, "Is it underexposed?" I was like, "No, it's reading f8." I think the thing that people are thinking of underexposure is actually a contrast difference. So the harder lights are a little contrastier. So I think they look a little bit brighter. So here, let's go to these catch lights real fast, Kate.
Gotcha. Popping that in there. So Mike is asking, is there a cage for the A2?
So I've been wanting to do this. We should.
Where you at?
Let's show the catch lights. I've been wanting to do this and I haven't done it yet. I feel like it'd be fun to do it live. But let me show you the catch lights with the last thing, and then before we add in another light. So just stay here with me for like 5 minutes. But let's look at these catch lights. So with the protruded head, you can see that the reflector is pretty dang smooth. There's a little bit of a brighter spot here towards the edge and a little bit of a brighter spot there towards the middle. Whereas with the flat front, it's even brighter towards the middle, which is to be expected again, because the light is concentrated forward. But the B10 and the B10X pluses and all that stuff, the flat front stuff, have a wide beam spread. So you're still filling the whole reflector, right? So softness wise, you're utilizing the fullness of the reflector with both of them. Now with your flat front, it's definitely a lot, or I'm sorry, not with the flat front, with your protruded front here on the left side, it's gonna be a lot more feathered. It's a lot smoother. And because it's hitting some of the room, that's where we're getting that contrast decrease. Whereas here, you can see that we're getting a lot more light coming, hitting dead center and coming back out. So we're getting a lot more direction than we would actually be getting from the protruded head, but we're still utilizing all the reflector, and it's still very, very soft, as you could tell from the shadows under the chin and the shadows in the nose. Because we're not hitting the whole room, that's why we have that contrast increase. So let's zoom back out so you can see this as a whole again. That's why this shot right here feels a little more contrasty than this shot right here. So, but they're both exposed properly, but again, the contrast decrease, which is kind of cool. Like I said, you're getting like this subtle fill, and you're getting this beautiful directional light, this really soft and natural looking with one light, which is kind of cool. So
I do believe we've gotten all the questions.
Cool, we got all the questions.
Except for the A2 cage.
Except for the A2 cage. Here we go.
All right.
Here we go. I've been wanting to do this. I was thinking about it before. So this is the OCF adapter. The OCF 2 adapter.
Hold on, can you see me shaking my head?
Yeah, so I've been wanting to try this. I thought about this when we were in Sweden. So we're going to take the OCF 2 adapter and we're going to remove the stand from it. Let me grab my A2. Same thing. Let's take the A2 stand adapter off. Now, that being said, I don't think this thing's powerful enough. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Case hard versus soft. Did we show that?
We did do case face hard versus soft. When the thing's over, you should be able to roll back and see it.
Okay. Sweet.
So we're going to put the A2 into, I'm pointing at the wrong camera. We're putting the A2
Sorry. Hold on, put you back.
into the OCF adapter like this, and we're in.
Hey, look at that.
So it's alive.
Oh my gosh. It worked.
It does work.
Okay.
I mean, I always knew the theory behind it would be fine, but let's see.
What does it actually look like?
Yeah, what's the light quality look like?
Yeah.
So,
hey, did the catch light difference come from the power setting difference?
no, the catch light difference shouldn't come from the power setting difference. It should come from the beam angle difference.
Okay.
So that's what you're seeing as a beam angle difference. So because someone was asking, I don't know if I repeated it out loud for you to hear, but someone was asking, was the catch light difference a power difference? And it's not, because the exposure that's hitting Kate is still the exact same. So it's still f8. What the difference is the beam angle that's utilizing the reflector in different ways. So, all right, let's do this.
Okay, so I need to hop back in?
You're gonna hop back in,
right,
and I'm gonna put this thing pretty close to where it was. I think it's about right here. Now let's see what happens. You know what? I'm gonna push in a little bit closer because I feel like we're gonna need it. Yeah. But let's see what happens. Let's go all the way up. Are we pointed at you?
No.
Cool.
I have a low battery. So
Oh, we do?
It's okay. It's 1 bar. You'll be okay.
Yeah, we should be able to make it. It's not red. All right, cool. Let me grab my reflector. Or my remote. Perfect. Grab my meter. All right, let's do this. Oh, is my B10 still firing? Yeah, I thought I heard that. Cool. So let's go. I'm going to power all the way up, and I feel like we're going to need it. So let's see what happens right here.
Ooh, ooh.
You're fine. We're 5.6. We're a little under f8, so I'll probably stop down just to see what happens. But let's do that. Let's go to 5.6, and let's drop this down there. So I'm gonna open up to 5.6 on my camera just so we can do the comparison, see how the A2 does inside this thing. So we're gonna do both. We're gonna do a hard light shot and a soft light shot. So here we go. 3. Oh. Remote on. 3, 2, 1. Not bad. Not bad. All right, let's zoom it all the way in. Position 1. Oh, I've been wanting to do this. Thanks for giving me the excuse to do it live. Zoom position of 1. Perfect. Let's meter up. Get back to 5.6 on this one too. So. Cool, so I can power down just a little bit. Let's go to 9. Oop, kicking stuff. All right, so here goes the hard light shot. This is gonna be the hardest of all the lights because it's a smaller flash hit. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cool, so because we can, let's compare them. And then we'll be out of here. This wound up being a little more detailed than I was expecting it to be. This is kind of fun. All this, I like.
The same question. Oh, okay, yeah, we answered that one.
Let's see, so let's go soft light first.
Sorry, punch you over this way.
You're fine. Soft light. Soft light. Soft light. Cool. So here's the 3 shots, soft light wise. Actually, we know the difference between the Pro head and the B10. So let's do more flat front to flat front comparison with the A2. So let's actually get rid of this one. let's go here. So let's go to the chin
What are you
shadow.
looking at?
So this is the A2. We're going to chin shadow. They're pretty similar. They're pretty similar. Under the eyes or the nose shadow. Granted, I may not have nailed the exact position, but it's pretty close.
Oh, I missed a question. On the metering setup, will Profoto in the future operate a light meter using its own air frequency?
I cannot confirm nor deny anything that we have or have not made.
Okay.
Cool. And then
Is the zoom head on the A2?
zoom head on the A2. I'm not sure what you're asking
Is
me.
it a zoom head on the A2?
No, the A2 is a fixed position. So the OCF adapter can only hold so much. So it's in one position. You can't really move it. It's I believe that the head is right up on the end of the cage. So hard light wise, let's see what we're working with here. Same double shadow to be expected, but the line of demarcation from it is wider. So here you have like the shadow, and so line, shadow, line, and a deeper shadow. Here it's actually, it kind of feathered out a little bit more. So you have your line here, and then up here you have that second line. I think, let's see if we can get to the catch light so we can see how it looks. So right there, let's go here. See how that looks. So the A2, and I'm guessing it's just because it's back a little bit more, looks like the spot here in the center is
It's not lined up. You need to scoot it over a little bit so they can see the catch light. There we go.
Can I see that now?
Yeah.
Cool. So the circle here, I keep forgetting that there's a camera. And then, yeah, okay, whatever. So it looks like this circle here actually might be a little bit bigger than B10. But for the most part, the similarities are the same. The only reason I'm saying that this one looks bigger is if you see how much of this is utilized here, it looks a lot smaller than the amount that's utilized here on the B10. So that's what's leading me to believe the eyelash are kind of blocking this a little bit.
Catch light difference, is there a color cast?
The A2 looks maybe a skosh warmer. I don't know. I'm not in auto white balance. I should be. I'm pretty sure I'm locked off on my Kelvin. The A2 maybe a touch warmer, maybe a hair warmer. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cool. Very cool. I've been wanting to try that. You gave me the excuse to try that. That's awesome.
Thank you for all the good questions.
Yeah,
It's always fun.
Yeah. So this has been super fun.
Yeah.
We're going to do a lot more stuff. We still have some other things to explore with the soft zoom reflector. So we'll be talking about those. I have some outside stuff lined up as well. So we should have a lot of really cool stuff coming for Geared Up. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions of anything you'd like to see, anything you'd like us to, put up against in the Profoto family, this versus that, or if you just want to see how to do a certain technique, let us know. We will do that. We have fun.
We're here. It's fun for us.
Yep. And so
kind of exploring this stuff together.
exactly. So in the meantime, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Let us know if you have other questions. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.